What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are diving into Herms Agent, which has absolutely exploded on YouTube and AI Twitter over the last few weeks. If you've been scrolling through tech content lately, you've probably seen the name pop up everywhere, especially now that they just dropped a brand new desktop app that changes the entire experience. So here's what we're going to cover. I'm going to break down what Herms Agent actually is, walk through the new desktop app and how to set it up, and then compare it head to head with OpenClaw and the Perplexity comment browser, because those are the three tools everybody's debating about right now. If you stick around to the end, you're going to know exactly which one of these tools fits your workflow and whether Herms is actually worth the hype. Let's get into it. All right, what is Herms Agent? Herms is an open source autonomous AI agent built by News Research. The easiest way to understand it is this. Most AI tools you've used like ChatGPT, Claude, even Cursor or Claude Code, they are session-based. You open them, you use them, you close them, and the next time you come back, they have basically no memory of who you are or what you were working on. Herms flips that entire model. It's designed to live on a server, run 24/7, remember everything it learns, and actually get more capable the longer you use it. So instead of treating it like a chatbot you visit, you treat it like an employee that you onboard once and then keeps working in the background. The big phrase everybody uses to describe Herms is the self-improving learning loop. In plain English, every time Herms successfully completes a task, it writes down how it did it as a reusable skill. The next time a similar task shows up, it pulls that skill up and runs it faster. So over weeks and months, the agent literally becomes more accurate, more consistent, and more aligned with how you specifically work. That's the part nobody else is doing. ChatGPT forgets what you talked about last week. Cursor remembers your code base, but only inside that workspace. Herms builds a long-term model of you, your projects, and the approaches that work for your business. One of the wildest parts of Herms is the messaging gateways. Connects to Telegram, Discord, Slack, WhatsApp, Signal, email, SMS, iMessage, Home Assistant, and a bunch of other channels. So you can start a conversation with your agent on Telegram while you're out, pick it up on Slack at your desk, and have it send you a Discord message when a task is done. The messaging platforms you already use become the interface. Real quick before I keep going, if you're watching this video, I already know you own a website. And if you own a website, you want traffic. That's where backlinkmanagement.io comes in. We have a backlink marketplace with over 40,000 websites you can get backlinks from, an automated backlink service that builds links to your site daily, and a full content planning system that creates ranking articles on autopilot. If you want to grow your traffic without grinding on SEO every day, check out backlinkmanagement.io today. Link is in the description. Okay, back to Herms. Let's talk about the new desktop app, because this is the reason a lot of new people are paying attention right now. Up until a few weeks ago, Herms was a developer tool. You installed it through a one-line curl command in your terminal, configured it through YAML files, and ran it through a command line interface. Powerful, but not friendly to anybody who isn't comfortable in a terminal. The Herms desktop app changes that. It's a native macOS, Windows, and Linux application that wraps the full power of Herms in a clean GUI. So now you get a proper chat interface, a visual settings panel, a model picker, a memory editor, a skills marketplace, and a messaging gateway dashboard, all without ever opening a terminal. When you launch the desktop app for the first time, it detects if you already have Herms installed. If not, it offers to install everything for you through a guided setup wizard. That's huge because the old install process required Python, Git, and configuring providers manually. The desktop app handles all of that. You can either run Herms locally on your machine or connect to a remote Herms server through an API URL and key. That second option is a big deal because it means you can run the heavy agent work on a cheap VPS that costs $5 or $10 a month and just use the desktop app as your window into it. The agent never sleeps, your laptop can close, and the work keeps happening. The model support is wide open. You can plug in OpenRouter, Anthropic, OpenAI, Google Gemini, xAI Grok, the Nose Portal, Qwen, Minimax, Hugging Face, Grok, or any local OpenAI compatible endpoint like LM Studio, Ollama, or VLLM. So if you want to run everything fully local with no API costs, you can do that. If you want frontier model performance, plug in Claude or GPT. A few standout features. The streaming chat interface shows live tool progress indicators so you can watch the agent think and act in real time. The token usage tracker in the chat footer shows exactly how much each conversation is costing you, which I wish every AI app had built in. There's also a slash command system with 22 commands. Stuff like /web to force a web search, /browse to launch a browser session, /code to drop into code execution, /memory to inspect what the agent remembers about you, and /persona to edit the agent's personality. It feels a lot like Discord, which keeps power user features accessible without burying them in menus. One of the coolest pieces is the persona editor. Every Herms agent has a soul.md file, which is the document that defines how the agent thinks, talks, and prioritizes work. The desktop app gives you a clean editor to tweak that file directly, so you can dial in exactly how you want your agent to behave. It's the closest thing I've seen to actually shaping an AI's personality without prompt engineering every single message. The desktop app also exposes 14 tool sets, including web search, browser automation, terminal access, file management, code execution, vision, image generation, skills, memory, delegation, and task planning. You can toggle these on and off per profile, so if you want a research-focused agent that can browse but not execute code, you can lock it down that way. There's a memory system viewer where you can look at every memory the agent has stored about you, edit individual entries, and pick between different memory provider backends like Honcho, Mem0, Supermemory, or ByteRover. Most AI tools treat memory as a black box. Hermes treats it as a database you own and can edit. And there's the scheduled task feature, which is one of the most underrated parts of this whole thing. You can build cron jobs through a visual builder, set them to run every minute, hourly, daily, or weekly, and deliver the output to any of 15 different channels. So you could set up a task that pulls your overnight sales numbers from Stripe at 7 a.m. every weekday and sends you a Slack summary, or scrapes your competitors' pricing pages once a week and emails you a report. The combination of persistent memory plus scheduled tasks plus messaging delivery is what turns Hermes from a chatbot into an actual digital employee. Now let's compare it to OpenClaw and Perplexity Comet. OpenClaw is the closest direct competitor. It's also an open source autonomous AI agent with persistent memory, tool use, and multiple messaging gateways. On the surface, they look really similar. The difference is architecture philosophy. OpenClaw is what people call a gateway-first agent. It's optimized for ease of deployment and broad reactive capability. Setup is fast, and the learning curve is gentle. The trade-off is OpenClaw doesn't have a native skill learning loop. It can use tools, but it doesn't really get better at any specific task over time. Hermes is the opposite. It's a learning first runtime built around that self-improvement loop. The trade-off is you have to use it consistently for weeks before the learning compounds enough to feel different. If you only run it for a day or two, it's not going to feel much different than OpenClaw. The Reddit takeaway I see most often is this: if you want something fast to deploy, predictable, and general purpose, OpenClaw is the better starting point. If you want an agent that gets sharper at your specific workflows over time, Hermes is the better long-term bet. There's also a pattern where experienced users run both, with OpenClaw as the orchestrator and Hermes as the execution specialist for repeatable task loops. Hermes even has a built-in migration tool, Hermes Claw Migrate, that brings over your OpenClaw memories, skills, and API keys. Now, Perplexity Comet is a different category of product, even though it gets compared to Hermes a lot. Comet is an AI-powered web browser built on Chromium. There's a context-aware assistant in the sidecar that always knows what tab you're on and can pull citations from any open page. There's a voice mode, deep research integration, and multi-step agentic task automation that runs flows across tabs. Comet lives inside your browser. It's optimized for browsing, reading, researching, and automating web workflows. If your work happens primarily on websites, like comparing flight prices or filling out vendor portals, Comet is incredible. It went free across iOS, Android, Windows, and Mac earlier this year. Hermes lives on a server, not in a browser. It's optimized for persistent background work, scheduled tasks, multi-platform messaging, and long-running autonomous processes. So if you want an agent that's monitoring something, sending you reports, and reaching you across Slack, Telegram, and email, Hermes wins. Comet doesn't do any of that. Once you close the browser, Comet stops working. The other big difference is data ownership. Comet runs in Perplexity's cloud. Hermes is self-hosted. The memory, the skills, the conversation history, all of it stays under your control. So the easy way to think about it, Comet is the AI browser, Hermes is the AI server. OpenClaw is the AI gateway. They each solve a different problem. Now let's talk about how to set up Hermes. There are two paths, the easy path and the developer path. The easy path is the desktop app. Go to the Hermes Agent GitHub or the official site at hermes-agent.org. Download the installer for macOS, Windows, or Linux, run it, and the app walks you through everything. On first launch, it detects if Hermes is installed, and if not, it installs the dependencies, sets up the local API server on port 8642, and walks you through picking your model provider. The whole process takes maybe 5 to 10 minutes. After the provider is configured, you're dropped into the chat interface and you can start talking to your agent immediately. From there, you can install skills from the marketplace, connect messaging gateways like Telegram or Discord, set up scheduled tasks, and edit the personae. The developer path is the original CLI install. Open a terminal and run a single curl command from the official docs. On macOS and Linux, that's the recommended path. On Windows, you can use WSL2, which is the most battle-tested option. If you live in the terminal, this is still the fastest way. On Pro tip: if you want to run Hermes 24/7 without leaving your laptop on, spin up a cheap VPS, like a $5 a month box on Hetzner or DigitalOcean, install Hermes on the VPS, and use the desktop app to connect to it remotely. The agent runs continuously in the cloud, your messaging gateways stay online, and your laptop is just a viewing window. This is the setup that turns Hermes into an always-on digital employee. And speaking of always-on automation, if you're going to invest the time setting up an agent like Hermes to handle your background workflows, you should also be running automated SEO in the background. Backlinkmanagement.io is built exactly for that. We have a backlink marketplace with over 40,000 websites to choose from, an automated backlink service that builds links to your site every single day, and a content planning system that creates ranking SEO articles on autopilot. If you want to grow your traffic without thinking about it, check out backlinkmanagement.io today. Link is in the description. Quick, honest take on who should actually use Hermes. If you're a casual user who just wants to chat with AI, don't use Hermes. It's overkill. Stick with ChatGPT or Claude. If you're a solopreneur or founder running a business, this is where it gets interesting. You can set up Hermes to monitor your metrics, send daily reports, scrape competitor data, and handle repetitive operational work. The setup curve is real, but the payoff over months is enormous because it actually gets better the more you use it. A few honest limitations: the self-evaluation system isn't perfect, so for autonomous tasks that modify files, layer in your own verification. Native Windows support is still early beta, so use WSL2. And the desktop app is in active development, so expect some rough edges if you're an early adopter. All right, wrapping up. Hermes Agent is one of the most interesting open source AI projects out right now. The combination of self-improvement, persistent memory, messaging gateways, and scheduled tasks is genuinely different from anything else on the market. The new desktop app makes it accessible to a much wider audience without giving up any of the power. If you want a fast, casual AI tool, use Comet for browsing. If you want an easy-to-deploy general-purpose agent, start with OpenClaw. If you want an agent that grows with you and runs your background workflows on autopilot, Hermes is the play. That's everything you need to know about Hermes Agent in 2026. If this video helped you out, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and drop a comment letting me know which agent you're going to try first. I'll see you in the next one.